afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda, Hero of Sight, Defender of the Fatherland. We're off here to an exciting 1 vs 1 on favorable approach between the north. We got Findeed fighting for the Oberkommando West, Germany, for the 3rd Panther Division, versus in the south we got Kolter fighting for the Soviet Union, holding out here with the 120th Rifle Division. And we're looking here at Scavenged, Luftwaffe Ground Forces and Special Operations versus Shock Rifle, Guard Motor and Counterattack, perhaps more motorized rifle division. But anyways, Infantry Machine Gun Bulletins here for Findeed versus Infantry Machine Gun Bulletins for Kolter, who's going here for support when company air starts. That could be an indicator here of maximum spam. Findeed here aiming for full grenadiers here in the early moments of the game and pushing pretty aggressively towards his opponent's part of the map here. Perhaps trying to disrupt, in this case, to prevent easy movement in towards the center of the map here. And there you go, maximum for Kolter. Meanwhile, moving straight here for the fuel point there, close to him. Whereas Findeed seems to also move towards that fuel point. So this could work out a bit unfortunate there for Findeed here in the early game, since that could mean Kolter will have a fuel advantage over Findeed if he's not careful. And he can't get this to work out. Also good setup there of sandbags, should make it a lot easier for Kolter to defend the fuel point, say if they pop into the house here, for example. So good move there by Kolter. And 120th of motorized rifle division. Folks opening up the conscripts. Here we got the support company up. There we got Maxim setting out, and the South Engineers sneaking through as well. Bart White going up is really pretty much trying to plug any gap easily. Of course, you can still vault over, but not too many players vault. Plus, it will make harder for Kolter if he does vault into it to retreat, and they'll make a much longer retreat path. We're going to use versus John Pioneers here around to the south. Maxim moving up as well, and he's moving towards the centre. Perhaps not quite pushing towards there anymore, except now he's doing it in the north. So in terms of capping order here in the opening moments, Findeed's is a bit odd. Again, he's going to be a bit behind here in resources compared to Kolter. But at the same time, he's probably banking for sort of just make it a lot harder for Kolter to move out on the map and so deny him vital points. He might be able to make up for that quickly enough. So it's more of a strategic gamble here from Findeed, who's brought up an additional full grenadier squad, more German infantry to which to attack Saracens. And we got here Bartwire with the cover there as well. Folks are sneaking about. They might try and make a push for the fuel as Kolter sneaking away there. Doctor Nabawi looking at Scavenge, Luftwaffe and Spec Ops versus Shock Rifle, Guard Motor and Counterattack Tactics. Counterattack on the home versus the Fultz Grenadiers. That's not going to last long here. Could try and rush towards the cover here, but he's very intent on getting that point here, at least for the moment. But it's going to be costly here for Kolter, as he won't be able to do really a lot of damage here to the Fultz Grenadiers, while they will be able to do a lot of damage out to his conscripts out in the open. So not the best sort of engagement here for Kolter. And the problem is he won't be able to easily defend it anyways either, so while he might be able to connect the southern resources, the problem is he won't be able to sort of sufficiently defend it. In theory, if indeed, in this case, he's actually just wiring off it to further prevent him from vaulting on in the future. But there you go. More trap for Kolter. So he's not going for maximum spam, but he's using none of their support weapons there. We've got 2 conscripts, 1 maximum, 1 mortar there. Mortar crew suffering minor loss there. 2 Findeed's stout soldiers. In the south form, we've got the fuel point there. We've got Fultz moving in here. We've got the maximum covering there. And we've got another Fultz squad here. Mortar reinforcing. Conscript reinforcing up north here. Conscript about there. Go. He's flanking behind here with the Fultz Grenadiers. A lot of stuff going on here, explosions. Maxim flying away, the Fultz was moving up. We got no tech up there for Findeed yet. We got mines going up on the road. And here the Fultz they're doing alright, they're flanking the conscripts. Looks like Kolter's not quite paying attention, otherwise he would vault over on the other side of the cover. Although in this case he's still winning out there due to the proximity and the fact the light cover only provides, accuracy reduction advantage there to the units in cover, doesn't actually reduce damage. But there you go. Ultimately those get turned about here with the arrival of the 2nd Fultz squad, and there you go. Kolter's conscripts sent running. Another maximum there for Kolter and the 120th motorized rifle division. And the South here Fultz standing about. And he gets the wipe there. That's a definite victory there for Findeed. Didn't quite work out there for Kolter. He probably in the end should have just vaulted over behind the heavy cover instead of just trying to close in, since that would overall just given him a definite advantage. But too late for that now. Engineers standing about there, minesweepers on the way. Maxim tied down here, but it's not really achieving much for Kolter at the moment. I mean, it's keeping the fuel point safe, but it's not really keeping it connected, whereas Findeed's now grabbing the northern fuel point, meaning now Findeed will have a resource advantage over Kolter. So some slight tactical errors, and there you go, got Y cards being moved up. Looks like he's preparing for another assault. There we go, track up, in which case he can sort of vault over here, and then have another unit attack from here, using that one as bait to then close us up through these points, and then sort of Molotovs the Maxim. Fulters there defending the point using a bit of the sandbags, but engaged there by mortar. Conscripts and maximum fire, there we go, push back. Grabbing the cut-off point there for the glory of Stalin. And there you go. He's getting ready there to attack, to launch this. Oh, we can actually launch it all the way through there. Interesting. I didn't actually know he could do that. Nonetheless, that forces out the Maxim, allowing the Fulters here to grab the point. He might want to consider up some sandbags around here, so he can actually grab the point while in heavy cover. But there you go, Fulters following up here on the incendiary grenade. Maxim falling back here to another position. In the meanwhile, though, Kolter's engineers push pretty much unimpeded in towards the centre. Northern fuel pump being regained. We got more conscripts there for Kolter. Fulters there flanking the Maxim, and there you go. Kolter in this case just realises the battle down there is lost for now and just retreats instead of trying to waste more manpower on it needlessly. Mine there being dealt with by Kolter's mortar. Up here we got a light infantry gun on the way for Findeed while his troops are healing. His men are preparing for the next attack. Do we have any assault rifles there for Findeed? And the 3rd Panther Division, we do have one there. Gosh, there versus the Sturmpaniers out in the open. Also, a fun fact about the 3rd Panzer Division, but one of its commanders was in fact the later to be Field Marshal Walter Model, back when he wasn't a Field Marshal, obviously. But he would serve there, then he would later fight in the, well, take command, I believe, of the, I think it was the 3rd, or was it actually the 6th Corps? Actually, 4th Corps. And then later, he went up to an Army Group Command. Little fun facts there. As well, we've got troops here reinforcing, healing, light infantry gun moving ahead. In the south here, Volkswagen standing about. Maximum conscripts rushing ahead. Pushing forward, setting up there, and he could probably actually incendiary grenade that one again. We also got a Maxim here providing a bit more sort of covering fire over all the place, but still, the Maxim has to get out there unless it wants to be burned alive. That infantry gun opening up from the north, going to probably try and flush out the Maxim from the house there. Volkswagen's trying to come up, they're just going to enter another Maxim here and gets it first. Maxim is still not retreating, but there we go, gets it out there just in the nick of time. Down close there for Kolter's Maxim in the north, though again push for the fuel and cutting it off as well. Here's sandbags being laid down, cheese bank being laid down to deny cover. Troops there pinned down to the ground, and we got Sturmpanier standing about with wire cutters on the way. In fact, because Kolter's done the same here, that Findeed did there. Sneaky, sneaky Kolter. Bolshevik. And he's going for a flak half-track. Now that's an interesting move there from Findeed. You generally don't see a flak half-track very often, but looks like Findeed believes in the power of the flak. You got conscripts down into gates the Fultz Grenadiers. We got assault rifles, we got regular rifles here. This is just Soviet rifles. That's going to be an advantage, I think, here to Findeed. Of course, the mortars. In fact, he's got up to double mortars. Could very easily punish Findeed here for punishing up his men so closely. Now the player power is yet to go for Doxon here in the opening minutes of the game. Southern half they're being secured with barbed wire and other bits. Moving up with the wire cutters there. Flak half-track almost done for Findeed and the 3rd Panzer Division.
Half-track is now available for operation.
There we go. Flak half-track out. And the south points they're being secured. Up here, Engineers versus Sturmpaniers. And heavy Maxim fire. Quickly, Petrov, the ammunition! Here! That's the wrong ammunition! I need machine gun ammunition, you idiot! But heavy fire there being rained down the Sturmpaniers. Light infantry gun just keeps blasting away, though it is taking heavy fire there from the Russian mortars in return. But we got the flag half-track quick up to engage the mortars. Oh, snap. Just gets out there, barely. That does kill Sergei. A few 2cm high explosive rounds. In the south here, we've got Fultz versus conscripts there. Not a lot of cover. There we go. Yuri is dead. Light infantry gun cleared out there by the engineers. But looks like maybe the mortars finish it off. Hard to say here. Fighting around here in the northern fuel point. Indeed holding on to it tenaciously. Flak half taking up support that. And we got no anti-tank weapons here, by the way, for Kolter. He doesn't even have anti-tank grenades. So that's a bit of a problem there for Kolter. Oh, he does actually have it right there, and then gets the anti-tank or flak half-track knocked out in a matter of seconds. That was a bit unfortunate indeed. And overall, that was a not very good setup there with the flak half-track. You should try and keep it at range there, but I guess he's just having a bit too quickly there. And then you sort of went, you know, well, he's not throwing them now, so obviously he doesn't have them. Oh, snap. And then he lost it. The south here, incendiary grenades versus the Volkswagen side there, popping a bit back and forth here. waiting for the fires to die out. In this case, also trying to bait Findeed to come closer. Sharp move there by Kolter. Could certainly work it out there. Kedmev hiding out. Stjornpani setting up with minesweepers. Need to put those away. And here, fuel bombing secured. Folks were standing out there hiding up. And we've got another truck there for Findeed. Quickly, Schwerpanzer quarters hit the button with some Panzers and some Obersoldaten. Mortars out in the open, a bit risky, but we got the maximum covering, protecting the mortars from fascist interference and bullets. And you go in the south, another incendiary grenade here, constantly pushed out in the open. Ultimately, Findeed does secure the southern victory point here for the fatherland and the 3rd Panzer Division. Volkswagen sitting out here. Volkswagen moving towards the centre as well. And here up in the north, we got Volkswagen there versus conscripts. More conscripts to the flank behind the Volkswagens in the first place. Troops are healing, reinforcing. We got a max from their abandon, which Findeed could turn to use for the fatherland and utilise the gun down as many rations as he can well find munitions for. Lightning gun firing away, Stjornpani is advancing. And instead we got the ease of grabbing it. We got an incendiary off them after trying to home deny it. Does seem to work here for Findeed, at least for now, but the Volkswagens are pushed back. We got another squad moving up, and we just got the maximum coming from the nearby ditch. We got light artillery fire trying to deal with that. And he steals it while on fire. No, he doesn't. He ends up suffering a loss. If he tried to grab it there, he'd lose the entire engineer squad. Incendiary grenade following up here, making things more difficult there, turning up the heat. Yeah, I hope you like it hot. Oh, you're so witty, Jürgen. Yeah. Yes, they're being pushed away. Mortars, they're still providing artillery support there for Kolter in a sort of sizable amount. He secures the Maxim. But he does end up sacrificing a Volksgrenadier squad on it. I don't think that was what Findeed intended, but that's an expensive Maxim and 250 manpower for him, which is probably not what he wants to spend on it. Trying to close in there, but the Stjornpani need to cap. They could risk being wiped here. Pretty risky there by Findeed, pretty risky, but looks like in this case he does not end up being severely punished for it. Up here, reinforcement healing going on. Down here, southern territory also being secured there by the Oberkommando West, and we got the Schwerpanzer quarters up there for Findeed. As for Kolter, we got Tech up, we got the SU-76M there on the way for him, and the 120th Motorized Rifle Division. Artillery fire there, getting a good hit on the Maxim. Constant coming up to engage the Volksgrenadiers. Incendiary grenade off there, pushing troops away. Stjornpani is reinforcing and healing. And we got a big Russian push into the south here, opening up their front where Findeed currently has nothing to actually halt Kolter. Very good, I think, tactical realization there from Kolter, realizing the entire south is open and weak to exploitation from his heroic soldiers. And we got here, Doctor, it is counterattack tactics, opening up for reconnaissance, but also from Mother Russia, and of course shock troopers. There's quite a few things there he could begin throwing at Findeed if he wanted to. And so far the SU-6M is pulling artillery duty there for Kolter. Troops reinforcing healing. Findeed overall doing nicely in control of map here against Kolter. Schwerpanzer quarters could go for some Obersoldaten now. He could then go for spec ops and get them some infantry. Assault rifles, we've got the counter there pushed back, caught here by the Maxim and the Stjornpani, punched them up a bit too closely. In this case, Findeed was able to punish that quite nicely thanks to his pilfered machine gun. Bit the dangers of bunching up. Engineers bloodily repulsed here by the Volkswagen. This northern field point once more in control of the Wehrmacht. Artillery fire running back and forth in the south here. We've got engineers pushed back by the Stjornpaniers. Maxim there taking mortar fire. Light infantry gun fire going back, trying to silence their Kolter's more veteran mortar crew. Men who actually know how to hit something. And there we go, we got the Obersoldaten here for Findeed and the 3rd Panzer Division. North point being secured. And the south Stjornpani is advancing. And artillery fire there against the lightest Infanteriegeschütz. Volkswagen standing about, engaging the country there by the fuel point. But but they do lack the firepower to really deal with the conscripts there. In fact, we now here got from Mother Russia allowing his men to charge forward with Seal and further. We got an incendiary for an cover. There we go, multiple landing on it, almost wiping out here in the centre. We got conscript Maxim pushing forward. Maxim almost brought out. He needs to retreat it before he loses it. Almost got the Fultz grenadiers there. Maxim survived. No, it burns out there. Risk move there by Kolter, in which case you got punished for, and of course this thing also lasts like a minute. So that's a lot of sort of just bonuses you get for the entire minute there. I mean, it's a really powerful ability, and I'm surprised more players don't use it. But there you go, conscripts push back, Fultz goes ring about. He's making some progress, but right, it does seem interesting to sort of retreat all of them when they probably at least had some chance of dealing with the Fultz grenadiers there. And the South African engineers charging forwards, filled with who knows what. Most likely vodka and something else. But they're going to engineers rushing forwards, almost about to run out here off for Mother Russia. Opening up this jump, quickly dealing with them there with the Seal and eager desire to smash the fascists. There goes Jumpers sent running. Made some progress there. Troops reinforcing healing. He could consider half-checking to reinforce his troops to the front line, give them a bit more presence. We'll have to see though. As for Findeed, he could aim for a Panther 4 here. Of course, he might feel like he could also go for a Panther. That could work out there for Findeed as well. Doctrine, though, we have yet to still see anything there from Findeed and the 3rd Panther Division. Also moving up, they got artillery fire they're raining down from the S-6 on them. Pushing back the mortar crews. And a quick salvage there of the flak half-track by Findeed's Fultz grenadiers. Salvaging a few bits that can be traded in for fuel. Bigger conscript force moving about here in the east, could try and sort of attack the Fultz grenadiers from behind, also grab the fuel point there, not a bad idea. And he's got the point there for Kolter, but we could consider some mine tuning there. That's actually one thing I don't think Kolter's done at all, and that is mine. And another for Mother Russia, another burst. Explosive socialism. Fultz there being run off pretty quickly as they're suddenly faced with a lot of bolstered Russians. He doesn't quite push as hard as he could. Troops there retreating, engineers moving ahead. Maxim, mortars, S-6 there, standing about.
Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
Could get a bit more movement going there. Engineers versus Fultz grenadiers. Sadly, in this case, not quite working out for them. They go forced to retreat to jump on and ring up here. The north also engage here. The conscripts need to get some more support up for them. Flank in here with the other squad, Kolter. Stelo get the F6 support. We got Mortify here, gets the troops in the centre. I think there's a bit too much going on here for Kolter. He can't quite manage it all. Got artillery fire. We got a Panther on the way there from Findeed. A Panzer Kampfwagen 5. There you go. Conscript finally moving to engage the Upsilon here. Quickly getting a kill there. Jürgen and Otto dead. Helps to the house. And with that and mortar here, Kolter has no easy way of sort of pushing that there besides the mortars. And the Upsilon there will certainly be a bit more difficult to just get out. We'll have to do a lot of damage here to a lot of Kolter's troops out in the open. But we got the mortars there, going to try and flash out the orbital dam, do some damage. Or maybe target something else. Findeed's Panther halfway done. Troops healing, reinforcing. He could of course aim for a KV-1 soon, but he might end up regretting that in the fates of a Panther. The Panther obviously outgunning the KV-1 by quite the margin. Conscious of Maxim moving towards the centre, mortar supporting, assault guns just sort of hanging back. Then we got Fultz flanking in. Maxim versus Maxim, but with the incendiary grenade there, the fight should very much be in the favour there of Findeed. We did end up losing a gun crew somewhere, most likely. Yeah, we go. The light infantry gun silenced here by Kolter's mortars. We got the Panther out there, Panzer Kampfwagen 5 arriving for Findeed, Germany. Engaging there with its high velocity 75mm gun. With such high velocity, it actually meant that the shots were generally quite well accurate, since they wouldn't drop off so much due to the power. Panther moving ahead here, engaging a lot of troops. Actually laying down mines in his own pace to try and trip up the Panther. He's trying, I think, to go here for the assault gun. A very risky move here from Findeed, rushing straight to his opponent's base with a Panther. I mean, this is the sort of move that could easily end up getting severely punished, though it does help that Kolter has not gone for a single field gun. In fact, all he's got is a Titan grenades and the HU-76M, so I'm not sure if this is really, really clever by Findeed or really, really stupid and he's just getting away with it. I mean, there's a potential there. There's a potential there, obviously, but it's not really something I'd recommend in a million years to anyone just rushing in a Panther blindly. And there you go, good hit on the conscripts, getting 2 kills there with the main gun, machine guns there, quickly gunning down Sergei as well. And the Panther rolls forwards again, boldly going, but no German has gone before without getting blown to bits. Mine's going down there, pretty risky, right in front of his opponent who can see him and mortar him. Panther just waiting here by the northern exit. The Panther Model A there, by the way. There were 3 overall models there. The D, the A, and the G. The G being the most produced, and also sort of the best model in the sense less kinks, but also just more streamlined and improved armor. Maximus' full gun it is there. And Findeed's doctor of choice here is Scavenge. Looking at in terms of damage, kills wise though, Findeed is very much ahead. Army value wise, Findeed sort of been ahead there, but that's not too surprising in a sense. Resource flow wise, not too much in the end. And points help though, Findeed again has been controlled versus Kolter. Kolter, I think again, slight had issue there with this sort of just thinking about his machine guns and some houses, having them being too passive for long periods of time. Not enough focus on actually holding the north or just pushing hard enough for the south. Basically, Kolter trying to hold, well, both fuel points really, and then struggling to sort of really maintain it, which all meant he was weaker, whereas Findeed sort of just hit here and there and just, I think, overall made a lot better use of his resources in the early game. I mean, Kolter also went for some support weapons and the likes, but I think another issue was basically when you go for conscripts, you generally just want 3, and Kolter was quite late in getting, I think, 3 conscript squads, which didn't really particularly help Kolter. Factoring as well, also lack of mines until now he's only mining his own base to make it harder for Findeed to ration his Panther. And I do feel like there's been some slight issues there with Kolter's tactics and strategy. It's not like he's playing badly, it's just he's not quite playing well enough to sort of hold on to the map there properly versus Findeed. And Drox, now I think a part of me, should consider going for some shock troopers. I mean, they could do a lot of damage there to Findeed here and there, appearing out of nowhere, gunning down a lot of men, maybe grenading or laying down some smoke screens. I mean, they could be quite beneficial there, in particular then combos them with some other rush, in which case they become really fast and really deadly and also really difficult to kill. So, I mean, that I think could be a strong idea there for Cole to consider. It's all to take up here, that's not a bad idea. T-3476 wouldn't be a bad thing, but with the Panther out, he might want to consider an SUD-5 first to help penetrate and just do a lot of damage to the Panther. I mean, that could do a lot there for Kolter. Then he could always follow up with, say, a T-3476. He could also consider, going for a half-track again to help him reinforce his troops at the front line and make them harder to push off. That would also allow Kolter to better sort of establish map control against Findeed. So I do think that's something there he should consider. So again, mines and sort of, a bit more focus, and I think also more flanking overall there. I mean, a good flanking assault from other Russian, for example, can end up doing a lot of damage to your opponent. As for Findeed, I mean, mines would benefit him quite a lot. Maybe a second Panther or a Panther 4. More orbital done, I think, could all be a good choice there for Findeed. But for Findeed, I think he's just sort of playing pretty well there. So there's less to say there. He's also just had the advantage, and I don't think there's so much he could have done better under the circumstances. So I think we should just return to the fight here and see what happens. Mine's going down there. Again, he's really intent on trying to punish Findeed if Findeed tries to go for an assault right there inside the base again with the Panther.
Our command post is under assault.
If only, though, he'd laid down a lot more mines when he had more of the map earlier. I think Kolter would have been a stronger situation there versus Findeed. More mines here.
The enemy has cut off
Fortify there. Almost got the orbital dart in there. Full is there as engineers. We got the Panther moving ahead slowly. 5 kills for the fatherland, and we got an Austrian flag Panzer out here for Findeed and the 3rd Panzer Division. Panther sets out. Did he actually see the mines being laid down? I think he did. Might have observed it. There he goes, sets off the mine. Fighting over the southern fuel pump, we got the Austrian moving in there. Artillery called in by Findeed inside the base. Create the mortar scheme, set up some of the mines that Kolter's laid down. In fact, probably will. Might even set down too. We got the Panther getting the base. We can actually see Findeed is now trying to force Kolter to have to defend more aspects of his base there again, make it harder for him to even push forwards, because he then has to take into account what if Findeed attacks from here. In fact, if he gets that bunker, he can begin launching infantry attacks into Kolter's base. That's actually something he needs to defend. He almost got it there. So this is actually a pretty good move tactically and strategically by Findeed, because really it just opens up for a can of worms for Kolter. But we did see damage in the Panther. This could actually backfire there on Findeed if he's not careful. Taking a lot of damage there from the assault gun. We got the T-34 on the way in the South Ostman pushing forwards here. No real mind here to assist the conscripts, so they will have to retreat pretty quickly. We got the Maxman in the centre. H-6 comes there going after the Panther. Almost got it there. Less than half health. Firing away all its machine guns at the advancing Russians. There we go. Almost knocked out here. Volkskr's moving up with a Panther Faust to prevent the H-6 there from pursuing and knocking out the Panther. Nice move there by Findeed. Nice move.
The fighting has lowered the enemy down to 200 points.
He needs to quickly rush it up, then get it repaired by the engineer's priority, and then rush it after the Panther. I suppose he can even use, tracking to make the job easier. Conscripts basically pursuing the Panther to keep track of it at all times. Got a Kedma moving up here. T-34 almost done there for Kolter. Almost on here at the edge of Kolter's base under scrutiny from Russian mortars. T-34 arriving for Kolter. The 1942 model, which had a slightly more spacious turret with better vision, really. I think that's sort of really the difference. That's not to say, there weren't, larger difference between the T-34s in some ways. The thing, though, it's always to keep in mind is when it came to the T-34s, it could vary a lot there from factory to factory, how the T-34 actually looked and what sort of a design base it had. Panther looks like escape station 6 almost got him. In this case, is forced to fall back, so close there, but not quite close enough. He might be able to get the Findeed's awesome here with T-34 6. That would also certainly, I think, be quite a coup there for Kolter. And there you go, Flak Panther goes up in flames, munitions explode, bits of the crew all over the place, and quickly turns its sights on the maximum crew nearby. Might want to turn the T-34 itself towards it, partly to, not expose the rear to the enemy, but also to get the whole machine gun on the Maxim crew. Also, another fun fact is the welding could in fact be thicker and more effective in terms of armor than the armor plating itself. Gonna push it towards the fuel, pushing into the center, but we got Maxims there holding up the Maxims, and he does have the heavy cover. In the south conscript there versus the Fultz Grenadiers, veteran 3 versus veteran fleet, but again, heavy cover versus light cover. There's very much engagement there to the favour of Findeed. And he's certainly not really using the mortars besides just blasting a few things here and there, but that's sort of providing with serious support. Orbital line joining its support here and got the Maxim. Small victory. Up north though, Volkskr's versus conscripts. That looks like here that could be a fight. There you go, and sending a grenade off the conscripts. That fight will Findeed will win here for the 3rd Panzer Division.
Our headquarters is taking enemy fire.
To the fire there from Kolter on the orbital down there. Panther on the way for Findeed and the Wehrmacht. And the south here, Volkskr's is pushing back the conscripts with assault rifles and tenacity. Bet you too close, bet you 3 up here. Conscript versus Volkskr's is not really looking good either. Bit of a gap there in terms of it. I mean, he's finally gotten 4 Volkskr's out, but the problem is at this point, he probably would have better off actually not going for more conscripts, at least consider throwing in some shock troopers, but sadly just then gets a lot of conscripts. So in that regard, I do think Kolter could be making somewhat better use of his doctrine by actually utilising some shock troopers here and there. They could, I think, put a lot more pressure on Findeed's infantry. In particular in conjunction with Mother Russia. Doing the maximum of engineers, but looks like he's lost the engineer squad. Almost got the Sturm Pioneers there, Panther covering nicely. 10 kills, veterans who won for the fatherland. Panther 4 sending up with a pin-bump machine gun away for that one as well here.
Engineers ready for assignment.
T-34 is going to need some repairs with the engineers he suffered. That's going to take a bit there. Maxim sent running. Panther up close here. Steven 6 got spotted. We got the T-34 from flank. Got constant up there into tank grenades. There you go. Findeed quickly pulled back, realising he very quickly ended up in a situation where he might not be able to recover the Panther. And while he could suppose get the S-6 there, it's not going to be worth the Panther just for one assault gun. So I think Findeed there makes the right choice up north. Panther 4 here versus conscripts. A lot of them. Could see a lot of anti-tank grenades there. Rather risky play, and also bunching up his men an awful lot there, Kolter, getting a bit desperate there in terms of victory points versus Findeed, grabbing the centre one as well here, fixing up the S-26, Panthers, T-34 still need repairs, and we got the counter there sent running by the Panzer IV. Machine gun fire there from the opposite side, and mortar fire, landing here and there, and focusing on the south counterattack and Maxim there. Grenade assault there from Findeed's stout infantry. T-34 being focused now. It is the priority now that the H-6 has been sorted out. He can soon go for another H-6. He could also, of course, consider going for an H-35 or maybe just go for another T-34. Another unit low lost in service. He's down to 2 conscripts again. Not so long ago he had 4. So in that regard, Kolter is suffering heavier losses there versus Findeed. Heavier losses. Got a Panther trying to attack the base again. Another raid, and there you go, though he's baited out here. Kolter's T-34 from 6 and H-76, perhaps intentionally, perhaps unintentionally, but either way, armor's going in there. Panther moving out there. I mean, if he was baiting, he'd probably try to keep the armor closer and other elements as well. T-34 going after the Panzer IV, flanking it. Oh, bad news there. Panzer IV takes a penetrating hit. H-6 there could try and support. Needs to support soon. Almost got the Panther. There you go. Panther takes it to the rear from the H-6. Betty 2 for the T-34 from 6. Another hit down the Panther. M6 needs to move up there. Just use some tracking or whatever. Almost got the Panther. Panther down to less than half health. Blah. And there you go. Gets the Panther 4. He lost the T-34 from 6. Would have been the best there if he'd kept the H-6. I think a bit faster there. He might have actually had a chance of getting the Panzer 4 before he lost the T-34 from 6. In which case he might have a slim chance of surviving. He's calling up another T-34 now though. Panther managed to try and go in after the H-6 there. Gonna be a bit risky. Tracking, of course, lamps to ensure he doesn't get surprised. There you go, shot fired. Panther gets back one and gets Veteran 2 increased armor and health. As it pulls back. In the south, though, Kolter making progress there as well against Findeed. There's still no sign of mines, not even a flare mine there from Kolter, and the 120th Motorized Rifle Division. More Sturm Pioneers there for Findeed and the Oberkommando West. Mortar fire flying all over the place. Maxim supporting here, and there you go, grenade off on the Maxim crew.
T-34 standing by. Fresh conscripts have arrived.
T-34 from 6 setting out, fresh to support. Another push here. Sent in from a nearby independent tank brigade. H-6 almost good to go. Grenades off on the Maxim there. 20 points left for Kolter, but he's actually stabilising things somewhat. Tank destroyer would still be good, and I still think shock troopers would also be very good. Again, would give him quite an edge there versus the German infantry. And we got a second Panther, 4th indeed, a second Panther. First one supporting a Sturm Pioneer push there into the east. So with 2 Panthers, Findeed will certainly have quite an armoured fist there, which take on the Russians. Up here in the west, Folksted is being attacking forts into a conscript held line. Might want to have used some more cover here, and now he's actually severing the conscript. There we go, from Mother Russia. Tries to bait them in close, I suppose. Against much damage here, and then the Volksgun is also ended up losing quite badly here to the conscripts. Ultimately falling back here in the face of Kolter's Sellers defense. Panther almost done there for Findeed, and there we go, second Panzerkampfwagen 5. Bit of a rare sight to see an Oberkommando West player with 2 Panthers at the same time. Panther again then using hits there from the T-34 from 6 and the H-6, not just the H-6 actually. Could try and push in there more aggressively. It's going to have to do soon though. Not rushing the Panther there, but the conscripts maybe from damaged engine. Sturm Pioneers ended up losing out here to the Sellers Russian infantry. Sturm Pioneers close being wiped out. Second Panther engaging in the south, trying to sneak up behind here and do some havoc behind Kolter's front lines. Almost got the Sturm Pioneers. Almost! Tiny sliver of health there, but they do manage to succeed in the escape. It's field gun on the way there for Kolter, and the South Panther continues to be an absolute menace there towards Kolter. Firing away there with main gun and machine gun. Northern Panther also doing what he can there for the fatherland.
Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
Engineers maximum suffering a bit. The engineers here as well out in the open. There's a lot of folks going to use for the assault rifles.
AT gun is ready for combat.
And a blend cover. Interesting move, but doesn't save them from the mortar.
Taking what we have secured. More of our troops have been lost.
Damaging from the Panther there, taking heavy hits here from the veteran T-26. Shots fired rapidly there, penetrating the Panther several times, taking it down to less than half health here. But probably doesn't feel he can quite pursue it on its own. Too many things that could go wrong there. Second Panther moving about here. Not entirely sure what Findeed's planning with this. I'm guessing it's sort of a pathing error or a misclick. There you go, Maxim running straight into the Panther and its numerous machine guns. T-406 moving in. He's trying to ram it here. He needs the assault gun down there, but the assault gun is still supporting the north. So he ends up, in this case, not even catching the Panther with the T-54. The engine stalling out before the Krupp Steel Beast there. Bad news for Kolter's T-54. Does seem to get out of there. Field gun opening up there. Getting a few penetrating hits on the Panther. North infantry are exposed, they're pushed back. Academy for hiding behind the bushes. And Findeed, they're hitting as many victory points as you can, trying to deny them to Kolter, and of course bleed him out the last bit of the way there. But of course, also important to note here about Findeed is, unlike so many other players in this situation, he's not just throwing, stuff at the wall and seeing what happens. He's not beginning to make a lot of, short-term trades thinking, oh, I just need to do it for a few more moments. I can just win there. Findeed is clearly doing this slowly and methodically. He's not going to allow himself to make any sort of stupid mistakes against Kolter. So this is certainly going to make things a lot more difficult for Kolter. This is going to make things a lot more difficult. I mean, if Findeed just, went nuts, then just began throwing stuff away again in completely absurd manners, I mean, Kolter could have a really good chance of winning this. But again, Findeed isn't doing that. He's, playing this slowly and methodically. He's got a lot of Panthers. He's not using them in a, awfully silly manner. So he could actually have a good chance of basically seeing the fight here. But Kolter is putting up a good fight here versus Findeed. He's putting up a very good fight. Looks like he's aiming for an H-85 now. Still got control of these two victory points. They got pushed for the center one. Needs to get some heavy mortar fire down there in the orbital Dardan. Maxim they're firing in as well. Suppressing the fascist bastards. Maximum under fire there from the Panther. 16 kills. 2 on the other one, which is just basically standing by in the mud. And we got another flak Panzer out here for Findeed. And the 3rd Panzer Division. Panther setting out. Need to grab the victory point there. Light infantry gun gold is something they could consider capturing. Just had more artillery fire there versus Findeed. Also moving up towards us in the gate. The conscript that he needs to get some anti-tank out there to support it. The field gun is nearby. Panther and SN6 are guarding against the northern push there from Findeed and the 3rd Panzer Division. So Findeed also, I think, doing a good job of just presenting numerous threats across the front here, making it very difficult for Kolter to defend. I mean, that's also another sort of good lesson there for Findeed. He's not just attacking from one spot, he's attacking from several points again. That is forcing Kolter, again, in an already desperate situation, to have to defend a much larger frontage. So there's also, I think, something, a bit overlooked there, but well played there by Findeed. Again, he's not just bashing his head into a wall. He's constantly looking and probing Kolter's defenses for weakness. He can sort of hit with a maximum jackboot. Up north, the assault gun being engaged with the Panther, moving ahead here. Trying to flank here, actually does so. Assault gun, though, quickly turns about here. Sharp turn. Panzerfaust duds out. Half rate of victory of the Panther. SN6 pulling back here. He does not pursue with the Panther. He does not finish off the job there. Probably thinking he's not quite worth it there for Findeed. Which could very well prove to be true. Got the H-85 there, got the T-34-6. Panther falls back. Still 20 points left here. Oh dear, he might render the one in centre neutral, which could very well end up sealing things up here against Kolter. H-85, T-34-6 moving north for T-D with the Panther. The Panther pulls up behind the manor house, acting as an annoyance. Then problem is he can't easily get to it, because if he goes in, then the Panther's just going to use the speed to quickly pull around and get behind the Russians there. So he can't really just use mass firepower here. Sharp move by Findeed. And in the south again, Panther strikes elsewhere. So again, in this case, while of course could try and strike here. The problem is at this point he just created too much density, so instead he was using the Panthers again as separate threats, dividing Kolter's forces into smaller chunks because he knows Kolter can't play too aggressively at the moment. And we're going to artillery strike into the side of the base here, doing a lot of damage to Kolter. Nasty work there, nasty work by Findeed. Osman striking in here, 4 points left. 4 points, troops in the centre, a lot of trouble. Osman going in towards the base by the looks of it, no. Up north, Panther goes in for the H-85. We got a demo charge on the northern victory point. 1 point left for Kolter, 1 point left. Osman going in there. Almost got the H-6 there. Panther coming up to support as well. Driving in circles there. He's lost both squads in the centre there. Gets the H-6 with the Ostwind. H-5 pulling away. Panther did not, I think, get a single hit there on it. Impressively enough, in a slightly worrying way. Ostwind there, tearing the mortar crews apart. Panther moves in. H-5 misses the Ostwind. T-54 though finally puts the devil out of work. Panther moves in their flanks. Almost ready for you, and then the Panther. Kolter's forces are devastated. There he goes, trying to ram the Panther. And he does so, damaging the engine of the Panther, but it doesn't matter. GG, game over. A nasty fight there, Kolter, again, I think, with a slightly inefficient start there, which rather think gave Findeed, who played, I think, quite sharply there in the early game, though also a bit awkward and a bit strangely to me. Manchester, I think, overall, though, by the mid-game, sort of solidified good hold. Kolter with a slightly awkward unit sort of force their sort of composition. No shock to, which again, I think could have helped him. So, you know, rather sort of hit him here and then. Kolter just couldn't put up an effective defense, partly because he never really mined. Factoring then he rushed for a Panther, which really, I think, put Kolter further on the back foot, made attacks on his base. Again, Findeed just kept pressuring. And again, the further clever thing is, again, the way he did it. Again, it's not just, you know, allowing Kolter to build up at least a small solidified front. He just kept attacking here, there. Again, it was very much a strategy of divide and conquer by Findeed, and which overall I think actually won him the game. And again, he also just kept cool. Again, we've seen so many players at this point in the game, again, opponents low, and they just completely lose it, but not Findeed. So, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this match. I hope you learned something from it. Also, big thanks to Prince. Something there, I can't quite remember the name right now, but thanks to donating via Patreon. Most appreciated. But this is Imperial signing off. Hope to see you all tomorrow for another signing episode. Cheers.